I'm Evan. I'm 21. I go to York Uni. I do philosophy. I'm in my third year.
That's so you don't worry. What's the main reason you wanted to be in the documentary? Because I remember you being quite eager when I first
I think it's important to talk about why I made that face is because I was going to be like, because I love myself and want to be talked about, but I thought it was an inappropriate response. So I'm going to give a real response, which is I think it's important to discuss this kind of material from people that actually go through it, and it's a bit of more of a raw look into people's lives that have difficulties, because I feel like a lot of the stigma around this kind of stuff is that it's talked about as a wide thing. It's like, oh, depression, like whatever, you know, and I think that makes people jaded towards it. So I think if you hear it from people's actual experiences, because they're all so different. I mean, obviously you've interviewed other people so far, right? So, I mean, you can firsthand say that they're different. So yeah, I think it's important to have a variety of people's lives. I'm on sertraline. I'm on the lowest dose. I'm on like 50 megagrams. Yeah. I'm on 50 milligrams. I started about late November, I want to say. So I've been on it like 2 months and a bit. Yeah. And it's helped. I do feel better, I would say.
What's it help with?
I went on it originally because I was having like debilitating anxiety, because I was getting just in like I physically couldn't like pull myself out of it. And I was just getting, I've never really had panic attacks before, but I was getting like panic attacks, and I was like just like curled up and like couldn't move and couldn't think. And it was that was like stressing me out, that I literally couldn't think without feeling like overwhelmed. So yeah, I went on it because I was feeling overwhelmed, and now I feel less overwhelmed. I feel like I'm in a better position to handle things is in my life. Sorry, I feel like my stomach's making crazy noises. Yeah, I think I'm just in a better place to deal with all the stress in my life at the minute.
Yeah.
Like degree and etc. For the past 3 years I was having this kind of constant building anxiety, and last summer I had I would probably class it as a breakdown, that I just couldn't kind of do anything, I couldn't be around people. I remember I was on holiday in Vienna and I just couldn't go outside without, because I was really obsessing about death for some reason. I was just I'm gonna die, and you need to prepare yourself for death, and I just was doing this all the time. And then that kind of got better. It wasn't about death or anything, but then I moved to Denmark. I moved away. Clearly I was stressed here, and then when I moved back it all started again. And then I did shrooms in summer, and it was the worst experience ever. Because I just had a panic attack. I just sat for 4 hours and freaked out. But in a way that it was weird, where it wasn't I didn't trip out. I just couldn't physically think of anything that wasn't just self-soothing. So all I could do would be you're okay, it's fine. You just lay here and it'll go away. And I just did that for 4 hours. And then it ended and it was fine. But then I realized that every time I was having this bad anxiety, it was just that. Anytime I would have a panic attack, stone cold sober, it would be I can't think of anything right now. My brain is, I'm actually physically so overwhelmed by just my own head and everything else, obviously. I would literally just lay there and just be oh, my quilt's too heavy, oh, my bed's uncomfy, oh, I need to take this off, wait, now I'm cold, and I just do that. And then, yeah, I would just have to, actually self-soothe for, hours, because if I didn't, I like started like seeing things, like not like hallucinating, but like everything just was like like far away. I don't know. I think it's all kind of coupled because I've historically had very bad dissociation, like bad. Obviously, drugs don't help that, which is why I don't do them anymore. But yeah, I think post that shrooms trip, it kind of just brought everything to the forefront. So I was actually talking to my mum about it, and she was like, do you think this is still like from that? And I was like, yeah, it's the same feeling. And she was like, or do you think it's just like made it unignorable anymore? Like, you were clearly stressed anyway, and then you did drugs, and it's made you like focus on it. I was like...
With what you said about things feeling further away, do you think that was like derealization I hear people talking about?
Yeah, I think every like therapist or like person, like uni counselor, whatever, you know, any of those kind of people, I've always mentioned this as like one of my biggest problems, of that like I physically feel unable to like recognize things as happening / real / like just aware of my life like at all. There's that pretty famous one where it's like 5 things you see, 4 things you can hear, you know. Like if I would just do that, it would just make me freak out more that I couldn't like feel it. Especially like I do the one as well where I just look around and like list things in my head, like sofa, camera, boom, you know. But I think I would just then be like, but you're just listing things, like you don't, it's not real, like you don't feel it. And I was like, ooh, yeah.
So for some people that subconscious kind of buzzing is easier to quiet or soothe. Yeah,
I think, I don't know if it's, I think like even now, like we're talking about it, like I do still feel out of it, but I think I'm just less worried about it because I do feel better than what I did. But it is still a weird thing of, I can't tell what it's meant to feel like anymore. Like I feel like I've felt this way for so long that I've kind of forgotten. So I think I'm like chasing something that I don't even recall. So I think I'm just getting better at like actually just stop worrying about it.
Yeah. Are you trying more so to like make peace with the condition you're in?
Yeah, I remember like when I was 16 I had a therapist who said like, what do you want from this? And I was like, I just want to be like balanced. Like I just want to be fine with like everything that's happening. And he said to me, it was like, that's a really good response because people usually say they want to have control. And he's like, you can't have control. Like you can have it of little things, but like control being like the seed of your actions is gonna make you like unstable in the larger picture. And I think even though, like I definitely would say I still look for control in a lot of stuff. But I think that rings in my head of like, it's not control, like control kind of isn't a real thing, you know. You just kind of have to learn to be all right thing. Yeah. I remember New Year, like I had a pretty bad New Year because I went and I took my medication 3 hours early because I was going to New Year. And I usually take it at 8 p.m. I took it at 5. Yeah. And I like burst into tears. I was like, oh my God, I feel horrific. I had no appetite. So then I was just like starving and felt horrific. And I was just like in the bathroom, and I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but I kind of just felt like no one, like everyone was more concerned with them having a good New Year than the fact that I was like actually like fully freaking out. And it was sort of one of those where I was like, in a very neutral way, like not against anyone, I was like, no one is like here for me, like I have to do this myself. And I like rang my mum and I was like, Mum, I feel so bad. And she was like, just come home, like we'll do, you know, like you can have a bath, like we'll sit in bed, we'll watch a movie. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to have to depend on you to feel better, because that, like, you know, what if you're not there that one time? And like how I was with those people, I was like, oh, I wish everyone just like stopped what they were doing and looked after me right now. But that wasn't what happened. And then I kind of like I ate a pizza and felt better. What was the original question? Oh yeah. But after that, I sort of noticed that I was just like finding things that were like not that funny like hysterical. I was like belly laughing, like this is so funny, and I could even feel in myself like this is odd that like I'm finding this really funny. And then I just kind of eventually it became normal that I felt, it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I actually can feel physically my brain has changed, because I feel just like more like good than bad. Because I would say my like resting would probably be like middle bad feeling, like not terrible, but you know when you're always just like there's always something wrong, and you'd always be thinking about how this like one thing is wrong.
Yeah.
I don't really have that anymore, and I think it's helped me a lot with my like, I'm gonna burp again. With my self-confidence, and like I don't know, I think it's helped me have like many sort of like personal philosophical epiphanies about myself and how people, I was really obsessed with like what people thought about me in classic, right? And now I just don't care at all, which is nuts, because I'm like, I don't know what changed. Like I don't know if it was just me getting older or if it's the medication.
Feels quite liberating.
Yeah, I feel liberated, and I feel sort of like, I would generally say I'm an intense person. I'd say I'm quite a lot. Again, as like it's not bad or good. I think if you are fine with it, then it's fine. But now I think if like I'm being annoying and I can tell, I just like don't mind anymore. I'm like, whatever, like this person just doesn't get it, and that's okay. You know, that I have a lot of people in my life that I can communicate with, and they get it, and we have a great time, and so it doesn't matter anymore. Specifically with men,
yeah.
That like I feel like I used to be really obsessed with like men finding me attractive, even if I didn't want them to. Like even, you know, if you're in the club and some like guy's coming up and you're like, ooh, but at least he chose me, you know. And I'm just like, oh, whatever, like go away.
Yeah.
And it feels good, because now I feel like I'm controlled less by this like patriarchy demon. And now I feel like I'm in the headspace to properly work on this stuff in my life and like just do what I want to do, because I think for a while I was embarrassed of doing what I wanted to do because it was a reflection of who I was inside.
Yeah.
And now I think I'm just in a more comfortable state to be able to be vulnerable and authentic and not take it personally if people don't get it, because it's always a reflection on them than you know. Like I think that's a big thing that the medication has helped with, that I now have like hope. I was like, you're always just gonna have to have this, and there's always just gonna be something, and it's like lurking around the corner. I actually remember I wrote a short story about this, side note, but I wrote a short story about it, of how one day I just felt so unbelievably bad, and I was like, why does this keep happening? Because literally like 2 days ago I felt amazing, and I was just getting so frustrated that it was always just like lurking there. It's just like you can't see it, like it's just out your peripheral. But I think I've lost that now, a little, like to an extent, as in like I don't think I'm self-destructing in that way anymore. And yeah, I don't know, I have hope, which is nice, a nice feeling.
You spoke briefly about the OCD. Do you want to go into a bit more detail about how that manifests with you in other aspects?
Yeah.
Because it can be quite...
Intrusive thoughts is a good example of like, you know, you have this intrusive thought and there's no compulsion to get rid of it, you know. It's like, I don't know, the classic OCDs, it's like, I'm gonna blow up if I don't like switch this light switch off 3 times. And then you do it, and then you don't think you're gonna blow up anymore. But like a lot of mine, I'm like, I'm gonna blow up. When?
Yeah.
You know, when? Yeah. I like one I had like a few months ago. I can always tell that I'm losing my mind when like my OCD obsessions become ridiculous. And one of them, I did like a physics module last semester, and I was so convinced I was going to fall off the earth. So convinced. And I, like, if I thought about the planet, I couldn't understand why it was not sinking. Yeah. And so every time I thought about it, I was like, oh, we're gonna fall. You can't explain that to someone because it is ridiculous. And I know it's ridiculous, but I'd be like awake at night, like, I'm gonna fall off the planet. Yeah, I mean, OCD is like actually ridiculous. Like, it is non-rational to the highest form, that like I've convinced myself of obscene things. And then like the next day I'm like, oh, that was silly, you know. But in the moment I'm like, oh my God. I do have some compulsions. There was a woman I spoke to recently, because she did like, I had like an assessment recently when I went onto the medication. And she was like, you actually do have compulsions, but they're like mental stuff. Like I will mentally compulsively do like stuff. Like I don't know. It's hard to like describe because it's like quite abstract sometimes. But a classic one that I always use as the example is if someone makes me like laugh, or if something funny happens, or if I say something funny, you know, like you crush it, I like have to replay that in my head until it's no longer funny, because it's just like, and then I have to like click or something. It's like there's usually something that goes with it where I'm like I tick a lot. My face is always twitching, and that's usually if I'm like staring into space and like twitching, it's because something's happened that I have to like replay. And I physically do replay stuff. Like if I'm watching a show, something like cool happens, something funny happens, something I like, I replay it until I don't feel it anymore. And my old therapist said, you do that because you've clearly convinced yourself that you're never going to feel it again. So you do it so you feel it again, but then you don't, because you can't let a moment just be a moment. Like you have to have control over the moment that you were happy about. And I remember there was this one time that me and my mum were just like joking in the kitchen, and we were just like having the best time. And then I went in my room and I couldn't stop like overplaying it, and I just burst into tears. And I was like, why does like, I am actually ruining my life by trying to like capture these moments in like a bottle that I can just like tap into, you know, whenever I want like a hit. But like that's obviously not the nature of things, like things move forwards. So yeah, I think that's a big thing of that. I think my OCD was bred out of like my need for control, because there's always a trigger with this kind of stuff. And I think my trigger was like, I felt pretty out of control in my childhood. Classic. But then everything, like I had like a horrendous eating disorder when I was like, I don't know, ended probably when I was like 17, from like unmemorable, maybe like when I started high school or something, maybe before. And that was just like my way to like control everything. Like I would just like, I was really bulimic and I throw everything up. And then I like kind of got out of that. And then I was like militantly vegan for 2 years. But to me, that wasn't me doing that. But everyone was like, you're still doing the same thing. This is just an eating disorder. I was like, what do you mean? And then it just like, yeah, it goes in different ways. I don't even know what my like main thing now is. Probably don't have like, I think I'm just better at like not having control now.
Do you want to talk about, because you mentioned before we met again, about menstrual effects on mental health? I would say like my cycle affects me so much, and affects just women so much. And it's not even just understudied, it's like instinctually understood as like you as a woman, of like how much that like this is affecting you. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I actually recently wrote down like a big paper, and I have it and I can show you it, about cycle syncing, of stuff that you're meant to like eat on different parts of your cycle, and like what exercise you should do, how you should take care of yourself when you're experiencing this stuff. Because like I would get such horrific hormonal like mood swings that I was like, I actually think I'm bipolar. Like I actually do think I'm like have some kind of like disorder with my personality and my mood, because I feel horrific. And then my period would come like 3 days later, and I was like, funny that. And then it's like, the more I'm like aware of it, the better you can be at like helping the symptoms, I suppose. Because there's lots of things of like generally, like what you're eating really affects mood anyway. But I think it does like triply if you're a woman, because you like, because it's all so like deeply, intimately connected. And
And it's just something, it's like a thing that a lot of people don't know about, including myself. Like, it's only recently I've been thinking about it. I was like, I should actually do this, because it's like laziness. It's like, I just can't be asked, because the world doesn't run around like women's cycles, like how it does patriarchy and all, etc., etc. Like, it's stuff that we all know.
Yeah.
But it is that thing of like, you know, there's been so many times that I'm like laying on the floor, like unable to move because I'm in so much pain, and I'm like, oh, but now I have to go to a lecture, you know, or I've been in a lecture and like white, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this, but then you're like missing out, and it's sort of like never seen as a valid excuse to not be somewhere, which is ridiculous. Like, it is ridiculous, and definitely now I'm an adult, I'm like, what was up with that? Because I would be so embarrassed as a teenager, and I'm like, I'm literally like losing gallons of blood in my like lifetime, and that's just like fine, you know, it's just like normal.
Yeah. People treat it so casually, don't they?
Yeah, it is casually, and it's sort of like not, it's, you know, it shouldn't be so casual, because everyone is affected differently, and you should listen to women when they tell you that they're going through some shit, and you should not be weird about it, like, because it is normal, obviously. But I think, yeah, there's been so many times where I'm just sort of like been weird about it. But again, like, I think as an adult, I think I have this sort of like almost sadistic need that to be authentic, to the point that if people are uncomfortable by it, it like eggs me on more. But yeah, I think, looping back, sorry, I'm rambling quite a lot. I think the medication has helped me stabilize that a little bit. It still happens a lot. Like, I can tell that my period is due because I'm overthinking a lot of things more. I mean, I'm on an 8-month waiting list for allegedly high intensity CBT. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? I was like, okay, you're just going to put the fear in God in me and then tell me in 8 months what that means. And that's the thing, is then I might get it might not even help. Like, I've heard a lot of very juxtaposing things about people's experiences with CBT. Like, I've heard mainly negative stuff. So then it's like, what, I wait and then it just doesn't help again. Like, I've tried a lot of therapies in this past like 6 months. Like, I went to my uni counsellor.
Yeah.
Wasn't helpful. Did BetterHelp. That's terrible.
You see it advertised everywhere, don't you?
Yeah, see it advertised everywhere. And people that I respect, like people like that were sort of like, well, I guess are like self-help YouTube people, you know, advertising it. I'm like, oh, I trust these people. And then it's like,
yeah,
it's terrible.
Bit of a scam.
It is a bit of a scam.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely needed it, or I was going to go nuts.
Where do you think you'd have been now if you hadn't started?
Probably like, I was considering dropping out, like for real. And I'm in my last semester, so obviously it would sort of be like incredibly, it probably would have made me feel worse. I wasn't suicidal, but I just felt so lost. And I was like, I am unhappy in like genuinely every single little aspect of my life. I'm unhappy with my friends, my relationships with people, what I'm eating, like my degree. So I think I would be messed up. I was getting to the point where I was like, I need to be institutionalized. Like, I can't be in the society. I can't be in the world. But I'm glad I stuck it out, because apparently sertraline is like notoriously really bad. Like, as in to start, people have like horrific side effects, which is true. But I remember she said, like, if it helps, it's kind of good that you feel like this, because it means it's doing the right thing to your brain. And so, like, the lows might be really low, but, like, the high is going to be really high.
Yeah.
And I would attest that, yeah. I would say that that's true. Like, I definitely feel evolved. Not like a new person, but I just feel like I'm now more of the person I wanted to be.
There are a lot of foundations that affect you, how you are now. Generally, like, did you ever experience any similar issues as you do now, growing up?
Yeah. Yeah, actually. I think it's funny because I come from a very like artistic family. So for ages there was like this running joke in my family where my mum would just be like, no, nothing's like, you don't have anything, you're just creative. You're just a creative. And I was like, what does that mean, Mum? And then I'd be like, think about all the stuff that like I did when I was a kid, and it was not creative. I remember like my like OCD was crazy like back then, that I was convinced people were like trying to kill me. Like I couldn't eat in restaurants because I thought all the food had been poisoned. And I remember really, really, really vividly, I was in Brighton because my brother went to uni there, and a waitress put a hand on my shoulder like that. It's like, oh, glad you're having a good time kind of thing. And I was like, she's planted a bomb on me. She's put a bomb on me. I was like sweating. I was like, you can't tell anyone. You can't tell anyone there's a bomb on you, but you're gonna blow up and kill everyone here. So I had to go back to the hotel, and I was like freaking out. And I just had like a 3-hour-long bath to make sure the bomb wasn't gonna blow up. So yeah, there was loads of stuff like that where just kind of like random crazy shit like that, or I would just sort of convince myself of stuff like, you're gonna get kidnapped, and I'm just like sat in my lounge like, they're coming. They're coming. Who? They just are. They're just coming. But yeah, my childhood was like fine, like good, but parents are divorced, don't talk to my dad kind of thing. I think like the thing that triggered it was my dad, because there's usually like an event that like brings it out of you, right? That you usually have some kind of genetic predisposition, and then there's like a trigger. And I think, like I was saying earlier, that all my stuff seems to be with like an obsession with control. My dad was extremely controlling and very narcissistic, and like had zero empathy and understanding for other people's like emotions. And I remember he would always be like, you have to like do this and this before like you go to bed. He was like, we're gonna play a board game, and then you're gonna give me a hug, and then you're gonna go to bed, and like you have to hang out with me, like you have to do all this stuff. And I remember just like, because I was terrified of him, and I was like, I do not want to do that at all. And I remember running, because my grandma lived like next door, and I ran to my grandma's. My mum was there, and I was like burst into tears, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And then she was like, fine, like you won't. And then she moved me into my grandma's, and then got a divorce. Win. But yeah, I think his just like constant control of everyone at all times, I think made me feel like I didn't have control. And then I guess that makes sense.
You also brought up addiction at some point when you were growing up, or even in recent years. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, I can do. I think that was when I had my first like really amazing therapist that actually helped. He was the guy that was on about balance and control thing. Yeah, when I was about 15, 16, I had like a bad addiction to just anything. Like I was quite addicted to codeine. That was the main one that I was like actually addicted to, and like if I didn't have, felt weird. But I was smoking a lot of weed, a lot, drinking a lot, doing like anything that would do something to me. And I remember like my family found out that I had this codeine, and they took it away from me, obviously. But then I was like really pissed off about it, so I just took like loads of, it was like ibuprofen with caffeine in it though, because I was like, and I just like didn't eat, and I was like, right, I'm gonna take like 6 of these, and it'll make me feel something, because like I need something. And obviously that's like not a good idea, don't do that. But then I went to hospital for it, because I took some other shit throughout the day as well. I was just like taking random stuff, because I was frustrated that everyone had taken my stuff. And I had to go to hospital, and I remember the nurse said to me, she was like, you're really lucky because you're one off. You were 1 pill off, like having to have your stomach pumped. And I was like, oh, ha. You know, I was like, oh, whatever. And I remember like one of the doctors had like a really like, he was like, I can tell you're a bright kid, like why are you doing this? Like you're just wasting our time kind of thing. I was like, why are you saying that to me? I was like, that's just like a really heartless thing to say to someone that's clearly like having a bad time. And after that, I remember the next day I went to a party because I begged my mum. I was so manipulative. I was like, this will be a chance for me to prove to you that I am better. Like, I won't drink, I won't do anything, like everything's fine. I actually didn't drink, but I instantly was like smoking loads. I was like, give me a cigarette, someone give me like actually anything. Because I was like probably having withdrawals, but also just like, I wasn't overly like chemically addicted. Like I wasn't like sweating, but I was just kind of like, but then I like started just smoking loads and loads and loads of pot after that because I couldn't get any of the pills I wanted. And then I had like a major breakdown. And then my mum was like, I'm sending you to rehab. Like, I'm actually physically, and she like took my hand and walked me, because this is like rehab center. It's like a 20-minute walk away. And she walked me there, and I went in, and he was the guy, he ended up my therapist. He was like, how old are you? I was like, I'm 16. And he went, what? And he was like, you just look so much older. And I was like, okay. And I think I'd literally like worn myself out. Like physically, I was about like 7 stone. I was so thin. My skin was horrific. I just looked like ill. And it was mainly my environment. Like, I think I've never really had, I ironically don't think I have an overly addictive personality. Because I don't know, I think it was like the people I was around really were making me, not that they made me do it, but I just sort of felt like that's like that was how I should let off my steam, because there was kind of no other like acceptable way. It was very much of that generation that everyone had watched Skins a bit too early. And then everyone was like, oh, this is how you like deal with your mental health. And then when I went to rehab, I kind of was like, actually, I think just all of my friends suck majorly. And I remember going out that New Year, because it was just like winter time, I don't know. And everyone was getting really high, and they all felt really guilty that I was there. So they just made me down like a bottle of wine. They were just like, here, like we bought it for you. Like just drink this, just take it. And I remember like being like, I feel like if I told my therapist about this, he would be like, this is bad. And then I did like weeks later, and he was like, why didn't you say that? I was like, because you were gonna say, no, not very good. And he was like, yeah, who does that?
Did they not like appreciate exactly how important it was for you to?
Yeah, they didn't. I think they thought I was being dramatic. I think a lot of people, my own brother actually, we've had a very turbulent relationship, I would say. And we're okay now that like I'm an adult, but he also had drug issues when he was in uni, and he's like turns 30 this year, so there's quite an age gap. But he moved away when I was like a kid because he moved to university. So he never really saw me grow up. And he just sort of was like, oh, she's just putting it on. Like, this is just clearly for attention. And I sort of, like, got the impression that everyone except my immediate family thought that I was doing it for, like, some kind of attention. And I was like, why would I, like, nearly kill myself for attention? Like, actually nearly physically die just because I wanted attention. Like, I could get that somewhere else, I think that was another thing that I was like, people are really quite heartless when it comes, again, another thing, like, why we should talk about this stuff, because people are really heartless about it. And that was the thing, even that doctor saying to me, like, you're just wasting my time. Like, why would you say that to someone? Why would you say that to, like, a child that's clearly going through, like, the worst, like, to them, the worst thing? And I remember seen something like Billie Eilish said once, where someone was complaining about like teenagers overly emotional, and she was like, what else do they have? Like, all they have is their emotions. Like, of course, like that's what it feels like to them because they don't have anything else going on in their life. And I was like, exactly, like that is the be all end all to a teenager, especially a teenager that's miserable. So yeah, I don't know, I think changing environment, changing schools, like I went to college then, and meeting new people helped to a degree. But then, yeah, I mean, we still drank and smoked weed a lot It was only really like 2 years ago that I stopped completely. But I'd say I'd pay the price for it with all the other stuff that I've, like, all the anxiety and stuff. Yeah, I think that was definitely a side effect.
Do you think you're more capable now of dealing with those issues like anxiety and OCD on top of, you know, the fact that you came off those things?
Yeah.
You moved away
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like... I think I kind of goes back into the stuff I was saying earlier, where I don't feel like I have anything to prove anymore. I don't feel the need to think people think I'm cool, or that like people are like, oh, she does that, like that's so awesome, you know. Because also like most of the time people don't think that anyway. People are like, you're a loser, like what are you doing? But I think I'm just like so much less like not as influenced by that kind of thing anymore. Obviously I have like, you know, I'm only human, I'm not like perfect. But I think just like my uni friends have like, I think that they're a very large reason as well that I feel so much like stronger, because it's not like I think we all very much have the philosophy like the coolest thing you can do is just be yourself. And like if you want to do something because you want to do it. But if you don't, that's like respectable and no one's gonna like think that you're like uncool. So yeah, I think I'm better to handle this kind of stuff now without finding it externally. And if it is externally, it's medication. I think I remember when I first went on sertraline, and I said to my sister, I was like, this is the first time I've like done a pill that is meant to make me feel this way and isn't just like some random thing that I've like found on the floor. Which feels good. Feels good that I think I just care more about taking care of myself now.
And how do you do that?
It's a good question. I think routine for me. I think being a little bit more aware of like actually what I'm doing. Like a big one for me is food. Like if I'm like, I can tell that I'm on autopilot if I'm just eating junk. And then like sometimes I really lock in and I'm like, what are you doing? Like just eat like something green. And then I will eat something green and I'm like, see, like, well done. Well done. So like I'm proud of you. I'm like, yeah, me too. Talking to myself, Gollum. So like that's definitely a way. I think I'm better at having like downtime now, where like because I don't have any social media, like I'm not brain rotting all the time. And just kind of like doing stuff that are more creative, like reading a book. Not to be crazy, but reading a book's actually like really fun. And I think that was just like a really good way for me to kind of like turn off my brain. Like when I first started the medication, just like we were on about, I like read that Matthew McConaughey biography so fast. I would just get in bed and all I would do is read that because I just like didn't want to do physically anything else. So I think that's a good way. And like little like ritual stuff as well that is outside of like the bigger like skincare, you know, showering regularly, always brushing my teeth. I had like a bit of a New Year's resolution last year of like, you should, like the things that even just take like the tiniest bit of effort that you just don't want to do, just do it. Like even if I'm like, oh, I'm so thirsty, but now I'm in bed, I'm like, go get water. And I just do like little things like that, and it kind of adds up to being that it's not difficult anymore to do. Like I have it with the gym at the minute where I'm just like, just go. And the gym, like, exercise. Everyone should exercise. That's a real one. The people aren't lying about exercise. It does make me feel a lot better. Yeah, that's everything. Music, films.
Everything. Just
not smoking and drinking and going to bed late. I've noticed now that, like, you know, if I'm like on a train or something or on a bus, I'll just sit there. Like I don't feel the need to grab my phone. I mean, sometimes. And like I usually listen to music all the time. But that's also different. Like I feel like I listen to music very intensely. And like I just sort of, you know, I'm trying to like figure it out or just actually like appreciate it and not just sort of like you know,
Yeah.
bumbling away. I think generally, like as a general takeaway, I think the best thing is to just be present, which is really difficult to do that all the time. But I think like when you're present, you kind of are aware of all the things that you were doing on autopilot that weren't for you. It was just like because someone's told you to do it, you know, or it's like, oh, there's food there, I'll just eat it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, actually, you don't really need to do that.
Yeah, totally.
I'm really excited for all the things that I'm gonna do. I think I just like actually love myself now, or I'm definitely on track to, because like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's usually seen as like conceited or like self-obsessed, and people always say that I'm a narcissist, and I think it's because I joke about loving myself a lot, but I think it's almost like a defense mechanism weirdly of like, if I joke about it, then like it's like I'm letting people in a little bit that like I do have this appreciation for myself, but in a way that is like I don't know, it's almost like, but then they don't have to take it seriously because I don't want them to actually think I'm a narcissist, which is sort of a very cyclical, like I could just be normal, but instead I've decided that that's the best way to go about things, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know, I think I'm just excited to keep growing up. I think I'm just generally a lot less afraid of everything, life itself. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And then the last thing really, is there anything you want to say kind of before we end? Take the opportunity.
There's nothing like particularly. Don't eat McDonald's and go out in nature.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool then.
Okay.
Alright, you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Good. Alright, okay, we're good guys.